One of the world's most ambitious construction projects is being built right here, in the middle of a desert. 6 of the Middle East's wealthiest countries have come together to construct a railway that will stretch for more than 2,000 kilometers and better connect the region. But with desert sands to cross and mountains to tunnel through, the project's challenges are immense and matched only by the price tag that comes with tackling them. If it works, the new line could unite the Gulf, reshape its transportation sector, reduce its carbon footprint, and kickstart a whole new era of economic development. Welcome to the $100 billion railway in the desert. Before we get into how the railway is built, it's important to understand why it's being built in the first place. Let's start here. February 1981 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Leaders from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain and Oman met to form a political and economic alliance called the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC. As a group, they've made a lot of money off oil and gas, and that means their economies are largely tied to the oil market. Now, around 2008-2009, oil prices plummeted amid the Great Recession, and the GCC economies took a hit. That's where the railway comes in.
Diversifying the economies of the Gulf states away from oil and gas will help them develop stronger economies. And the railway lines will help, for example, will connect the nation's ports with manufacturing hubs. It will connect nation's ports with urban centers.
In 2009, the GCC approved a massive railway project that would link all 6 member states. The cost would be divided among the countries, with the entire project estimated to be between 100 and 250 billion US dollars. The most expensive elements being Saudi Arabia's metro project and Etihad Railway, an $11 billion 1,200 kilometre freight and passenger railway that stretches across the Emirates from the Gulf of Oman to the Persian Gulf. The country's first national rail network is being constructed in 2 stages. The first was completed in 2016 and spans 264 kilometres from the Habshan and Shah areas in Abu Dhabi to the port of Ruwais.
In the popular perception, the Arab Gulf states are flat desert countries, and to some extent that is certainly the case, but in the northern parts of the Emirates and northern parts of Oman, they have rugged mountains that reach 3,000 meters in elevation. Parts of this railway system have been just as challenging as building a railway system in the Rocky Mountains of the US.
It's a tough working environment, to say the least. It can get so hot in the summer that some construction sites operate at night when temperatures are closer to a cool 30 degrees Celsius. That's around 86 Fahrenheit. Sand makes for difficult, shifting terrain. Etihad learned from others who'd built in the desert, including China, Saudi Arabia and Mauritania. Those nations found solutions like turning sand dunes to clay over many years, monitoring the shifting dunes, and planting walls of vegetation to block wind and sand. Etihad Rail's locomotive design includes a sand filtration system and a sand plough to help it navigate the desert. In Stage 1, Etihad Rail constructed 20 overbridges, 2 underbridges, 10 road underpasses and 18 smaller underpasses for future use. The company also built 2 factories to produce concrete railway sleepers made from locally sourced raw materials, which form the base of the tracks. Each sleeper is 2.6 metres long and weighs 340 kilograms. They're attached to the main rails with a fastening system and are used to help stabilise the track and ensure the train can travel smoothly at speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour for passenger services. But this first route isn't transporting passengers just yet. Instead, it's carrying up to 22,000 tonnes of granulated sulphur across 110 wagons each day. The element is extracted from the oil fields in Abu Dhabi and processed for export at the port of Ruwais. where it goes on to be used in manufacturing everything from batteries to fertilisers and even fireworks. Etihad Rails transported more than 30 million tonnes of granulated sulphur for the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company as of mid-2021. They say that a single train journey reduces carbon dioxide emissions by 70 to 80% compared to if those trips were made by trucks. That's pretty significant for an economy with one of the biggest carbon footprints in the world. The efficiencies also helped make the Emirates the world's top exporter of sulphur, bringing in $679 million in 2019. Much of that sulphur likely went to China, the world's largest importer, who also happens to be involved in Stage 2 of the project. Stage 2 construction began in 2020 and will extend the network 605 kilometres from Guwayfat on the border with Saudi Arabia to Fujairah on the east coast. A $408 million contract put China State Construction Engineering Corporation and South Korea's SK Engineering and Construction in charge of the design and building of 139 kilometres of rail line. Once complete, the network will link the country's major industrial ports and trading centres, enabling more than 50 million tonnes of goods to be transported each year.
A country like Saudi Arabia and a country like the United Arab Emirates, they are huge in area and they contain immense potential for other natural resources that could and would be developed in the next few decades, and a railway would help these governments tap these so far untapped natural resources.
Even with progress being made on the Etihad rail network, the GCC rail project as a whole hasn't always gone according to plan. They briefly blocked Qatar from the organisation, putting its role in the railway project into question. And the pandemic and oil prices have caused logistical delays and cuts to infrastructure spending, which have pushed the completion date back by years.
The vision of Gulf leaders has emerged from being a vision of ambition and sometimes unrealistic ambition to a vision of pragmatism.
Etihad hasn't said exactly when the railway will be open for commuters yet, but when it is, it might be a tough sell for a country that loves its cars. One 2020 survey in the UAE found that 83% of people depend on cars, while only 13% use public transport.
It's primarily an economic value at this point, and the human side is not fully developed yet. And if there's a question around this project, it will be about the willingness of the population to jump on the railway line and to go from city to city.
Still, the railway is a huge part of these countries' plans to become more sustainable and diversify their economies. And it's given rise to a new industry, which means new jobs. Both Saudi Arabia and the Emirates have developed rail studies training programs.
The Gulf economies have grown exponentially over the last 3 decades or so. And the railway lines are more of a complement to the immense economic growth that the Gulf states have experienced over the last little bit.
The Emirates may be known for its oil wealth and glitzy, futuristic developments, but Etihad Railway is a glimpse into leaders' long-term strategy to build a more connected, unified Gulf.
Cultural shifts take time, technological shifts can happen more or less overnight.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, subscribe to the B1M.